Good morning. Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa, an expert on nothing, which qualifies me as much as anyone else to give you my opinions on newsworthy events that affect all of us as citizens of the United States. I'm a conservative. I'm a federalist, not a MAGA. Republican, of course. But I do support a good idea, no matter where it comes from. Because a good idea is still a good idea, as long as it's practical, achievable, and realistic. Because other than that, that's a hope, a wish, or a dream. And if you want that type of scenario, go to Disney, because it won't work here. All right. You know how my show goes. I want to thank, I've gotten many subscribers in the last week or two. I want to thank everyone that watches this program. And those people that don't agree with my program, thank you for leaving comments. I appreciate it. I answer them. Some are very passionate on their subject, which is fine. You can be passionate on your subject. You just got to be factual. And others, they just call me names and things, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't do that. Though I will on this program call out people that are stupid and morons and shouldn't be where they are, because they're just not good people. So, all right. Lots of news going on. I did not speak about Iran yesterday. I had wanted to, but I ran out of time. I'm trying to keep these things down to between 45 minutes. 30 minutes would be great, but I can't do that. Partly because there's a lot to report that you need to hear so you could go out and look. And the second part is I just love to hear myself speak. All right, see, I tell you, I don't lie to you. No lies here. So I will speak about Iran in this. So I got to put that here so I know to do this again, because there is some information and there was a lot of breaking stuff and stuff I needed to look at to really, give you something that you could think about. This is episode 75. Today is May 19th, 2026 of the year of our Lord. When I say the episodes, that's 75 episodes I have done. If you go look on my channel, you'll see I got lots and lots. I do a live show, which if you're not seeing any fonts dancing around and little things down here that says, please comment, like, and subscribe. And, then I always have over here little tidbits. So if you don't see them, then you are looking at what is a recorded live show. And then if you go over to my video, then it is the whole show edited and cleaned up. If I made any mistakes, boo-boos, and I'll put it up there. And then to the playlist, because I like putting out playlists. But I find that a lot of people don't watch my playlists. They watch my videos. So I might be kind of saving the playlist for something big. All right, today, Congress has had debated and passed H.R. 6260. And this is a bill that keep violent offenders off the street. And it has to do with bail. Lots of talk about that. And, you know, getting bail and the mechanisms for that kind of clarified, because it has gotten a bit cloudy. The bill would classify the act of giving bail, a bail bonds, not the person giving bail or you receiving bail, or whether your state says bail or whatever. But if there is bail or a bond, and it is through a person or business, they want, this bill would say that criminal bail bonds, federal immigration bail bonds, to be treated as insurance products. And that would open up federally fraud and how they manage and their accountability on these matters. Now, you might ask, they go, well, don't we already have that? Sort of. But what we have seen lately, over the past few years, was the use of charitable money being collected for the use for bail. And there's no accountability on that, because you didn't go through a business, and you know, you can put money into a pickle jar and then use it to facilitate posting bond. And in most cases, the court, it's hard for them to say, where did this money come from? If you showed up there with $2 million for bond and you didn't go through a bonding agency, the district attorney or ADA might go, Your Honor, he's a drug dealer. So him having the availability of $2 million, that could be money from drug sales. And a judge might ask, well, do you have proof of that? No, Your Honor, but it's feasible to think that. Thinking is not a crime, and thinking is not proof of a crime. So most judges go, don't care. That's money. You said $2 million. He's agreed to the $2 million, and the court is fine with the $2 million bail. Take the money. And these are the conditions of your bail. You can't leave the country. You can't do this. You must stay here. You must answer all summonses to court, where you can do it, or your lawyer can, blah, 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 blah. They do their things. But when it comes to charitable, let's say GoFundMe, there's no accountability in that. You could have George Soros having 500 people give $2,000 each into it, and now, he's feeding it all. Or some other actor. And what they're saying now is they want to treat nonprofits and charitable bail funds as business insurance, which would then come under the scope of agencies to examine them. Now, I've seen this before. I've seen the ups and downs and debates on this subject. And it's easy to look at and go, yeah, that guy made a point. Why you don't need this. And the other guy made a really good point on why you need this. I mean, two different avenues. So you're kind of holding jelly, and it's very porous and it's not hard, and you can't take it and really examine it because there's so many facets to it. Overall, if this passed the House, the House voted on this, and it passed 243 to 179. So 243 said yay, and 179 said no. Not so much because the bail bondsmen are already businesses, and they come under businesses already. And people that oppose this says that this kind of strange law, strange idea that you're going to go after a private sector that does not do bail bondsmen, but it doesn't stop someone from walking into a court and going, here's $500,000. I don't know this guy other than I think that he didn't do it. And I'm willing to take this $500,000 and place his bond that he's going to show up and, blah, blah, blah. And it's not a matter of state where you go, you're buying his freedom and he doesn't have to answer to the crime. The question also happens, okay, this guy goes, they've posted $500,000 bond, the XYZ group. I love criminals. Everyone is considered innocent group. And they post that money. And then this guy, they collected this money through whatever sources. And this guy, they go in and the judge goes, no. Hey, Mr. District Attorney, you don't have this. You don't have enough proof here, and release the defendant. And the court's gonna force you to drop charges. There's nothing here to charge him with. So now this organization gets their $500,000 back. What happens to it? How was it collected? What did they tell the people they were going to do with the money when it's returned? Because if he goes to jail, if they find, yep, this guy's guilty of sin, boom, they find him guilty, that bail then is returned because this individual has fulfilled the court order on the conditions of bail. So it comes back. Are they going to return, hey, you gave $50, I'm going to give $50 back to you. I'm going to give, I have a record of it all. What this would do would force those nonprofits and charitable organizations to make available to the state, be it federal or local or whatever it is, a look-see. Now, you could say, hey, we collected this and it was just people dropping it into a hat. Okay. How was that recorded? Did you follow the processes that a business needs to do for this? Who collected it? When? Where? Who held it? Who verified it? So this might prevent people from collecting money for people. And Representative Jamie Raskin, you hear me talk about that libtard. And I don't mean to insult those who are classified retarded. Then I put you in the same boat as him. He was one of the big key speakers against this bill. And he thought that this would keep money away from people that deserved bail. And where a lot of this money was going to was for prior violent criminals or people that had committed violent acts. That, a bail bondsman might go, well, I'm not giving money for that. This guy has nothing, and there's no one coming forward. We're not a charitable institution. We're gonna lien someone's house or car or whatever, in case this person decides I'm gonna head south or north, east or west, disappear. So what this then does is allows people to be released, and people that gave that money, they don't care if he flees. They don't care if this place gets their money back. They're not asking for their refund. They give it. It's one way, and you have people being released from jail that shouldn't be released. They're criminals and violent and repeat offenders. So Jamie Raskin was big in fighting this. This is really to an oversight of 501c's, nonprofits, and people that just collect GoFundMe and they go in as a John Doe or Jane Doe and post money, or a group that we're not for profit, we're just a group of people, and they walk in with this money and the person's go. It could be a church group. So they want to now say that the posting of bond, and the judge goes, how was this money, did you go into I'm from the XYZ bonding company. All right, I already know these guys. I deal with them. Boom, boom, boom. I might have dealt with this church group, but and now it's other people, and the judges always have, and the ADA or district attorney always knows who's bonding these people. So now this would be different. This would be a much broader look, and telling these people, you must meet these minimum requirements to do this. Could that be considered an infringement of a person's right to give money? Might be. And I said, I'll use common sense here. That could be an infringement upon a person to say, hey, I have all this money and I believe that this guy is innocent, or I believe this guy should at least be out with his family while the investigation and a trial happens and guilt or innocence is then determined. But I think this guy should be out. I give the money. Right? Didn't one of the Kardashians just do that? They posted, I don't know, $500,000 bail for someone. So I don't, okay, the courts know it came from her. And they'll ask you, did this money come from you or are there other people involved? And they'll ask those questions because they have the right to know. It's a condition of bond and bail. So it's an interesting argument that could be made where how much do you need to know? If I'm a private individual and I say, I got this money privately, it's me, boom, I don't see what the problem is. I don't have to be a bail bondsman's business. But if I'm a group that's handing money out to more than a certain amount of people in a course of a year or whatever, course of anything, have you provided bail before? Yes. Well, then you're acting as a business, and we might want to look at you like that. You could still have your 501c status and everything, but you must conform to the minimums of this. I get that too. So there's a lot of takes here. And to me, a lot of ways around it, but not so much. But it makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's the rub. To make it difficult. You can make the argument, and I said I will use common sense, so the argument can be made. If they're going to offer bond to or bail for a repeat violent offender, then they have to assume that there could be a possibility that someone will meet that. And if you said, I want $2 million bond for this individual, and the court goes, and the person, and they go, sir, can you obtain bond? Not at this time. Fine. You're being held, boom, 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 boom. And if you do, there's a procedure. Your bails person will know how to do that, and your lawyer. And, then we get to ask questions and set limits. So, and that would have to be a change of, I think, Title 18 of the USC, United States Courts or whatever, but I think Title 18. So, and there's like I said, both sides can have arguments that are absolute. It's when those arguments fall across our rights. Well, then their rights denied are my rights denied. Or my rights affirmed are their rights affirmed. Very important stuff. So I can get there on the argument of HR 6260. Personally, I don't think it will pass muster in the Senate. I think it has less than a 25% chance if just going through as written and everything, and whether or not they juice it up and then they have to send it back because they changed the language. It has to go back to the House, and they got to vote on that new language, and then it goes back there, and goes. So I think this thing will get lost in translation, but I think the Democrats will be on the losing end of the story as being weak on crime. And see, just another example of the Democrats that want to let criminals walk the street. And it would be very hard for the Democrats to say, no, this is about people being able to post bail, for other people and not being stopped from doing it. It's a rights issue. And hey, we understand this is a criminal, they're arrested, but boom, boom, boom. But if bail is going to be an option for their release, they must follow all the conditions. What's the problem on who gives the money or where it came from or whether it came through a bonding company or someone else? And that people might say, well, that's the case, then you don't have a problem with telling us where this money came from and how you handled it and what your financing is and what what happens afterwards. Okay? No one's stopping you, but what Raskin is saying, it might stop people from giving money. Might not. It might not stop. So, again, and you can make that argument. All right. More on VRA, Voting Rights Act. Mississippi and North Dakota now have been cited in the Supreme Court as have been in violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. You can't use race as a means to create voting lines, districts. So now, those states, Mississippi we knew was, North Dakota, and North Dakota was, they made very wide districts because of the Native American Indians being in there. And now they're saying that is, you can't do it that way. And people are saying, well, see, these are people that are losing their ability to put a representative there, which I don't feel is true. It doesn't mean that because you're American Indian, you automatically get a representative or someone to represent you because, see, when this other person wins, they represent you. So it isn't that you go then without representation. You are represented, either by a Democrat or a Republican. At the end of the day, you are represented. And that's the bottom line here. No one, they're not saying, well, no, Democrats, you can't come through my door because I'm a Republican. Or Republicans, you can't come through my door because I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to hear you. I don't care. No, it doesn't work that way. They'll respond to you. They might not jump for you, but they'll respond to you and you'll get representation. And representation, if you look up what is representation, you know what representation is? You call and I go, yeah, hello, John here. Oh, constituent Don. Mm-hmm. I'll look into it. I'm going to hand you over to my assistant, and they're going to take your name and get some more pertinent information, and I'll get an answer for you. Off the top of my head, I don't think I can do anything, but I will certainly investigate. You don't know what you don't know, so thank you. Thank you. And if I could be help in anything else, you know how to reach me. Yeah, write a letter and saying, no, we can't, that person. But, we thank them and boom, boom. That's representation. That's all you need to do. Actually, all you really need to do is just pick up the phone. It's representation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to be hearing more and more, and it's going to get heated on redistricting, and you're going to see Democrats, are looking for loopholes around it to do it, and we're going to have a way of doing. No, the Democrats, you're in trouble. So, sorry you're hearing lawnmowers outside. It is Tuesday, and my neighbors on either side get their grass cut on Tuesdays. I get mine done on Fridays. And the people across the street get theirs done on Wednesdays. So we constantly hear. Normally, this is why I wait till after 12 noon to do a show. It is now 10:54 Eastern Standard Time in the morning on May 19th. So that these guys are all done, but I'm going to be busy. I love doing this, but there are other things that wifey wants me to do. I can't believe it. Okay. An article in the New York Post. A conservative, maybe even an uber conservative newspaper, or rag, as it was called. And this was an opinion piece. And I read the opinion piece, and I laughed, and I said, this is a nice little filler. And plus, it will get Bob in New York very upset. Billions wasted on UN climate change lies. Lies, I tell you. Deceit, trickery, and lies. There is something called an RCP 8.5, and it's a representative concentration pathway. It's part of the larger IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the United Nations, funded by guess who? Yeah. They come up with predictions on and scenarios on what could happen and what we have to do. Not the world has to do. This panel goes, no, the U.S. should have to spend all this money to do it. And I'm not saying that we have to have clean water. We could filter the air and we can kind of fix some of that stuff. But our water, we got to have clean water. Got to have water that is safe to drink. We have to have water for our farmlands. We have to have water, period. All right. So they came up with a hell on earth scenario in the year 2100. As we go into the future. All right? 2100. An Earth that has 12 billion people there. People where they burned coal and cause a tremendous meltdown of the environment because they're all burning coal. Well, the report came out and said there's not that much coal that 12 billion people can burn. The Earth does not contain enough. So that's a scenario that is implausible, which means impossible. But they did a whole study on that. Spent probably millions. And their answer was, let's spend more millions and billions and probably trillions that have been spent. New York State had bans. They followed California with their clean air, their advanced clean air 2 standards, where 40% electric cars immediately must be sold in New York or offered for sale, and then by the year 2035, 100% of the vehicles must be electric. So they wanted it 9 years from now, everything electric. Of course, President Trump had said, out the door with that, because that was through an executive order. Congress never passed this. This was an executive order. New York State also, wind power. We're going to do everything wind power. We have to do this. We're going to, put that out in the ocean and screw the fish. We need electric. Well, that didn't work. They've had problems after problems after problems with that. And there was some talk about whales dying and washing up because of this, and there was no proof of that. Whales died all the time and washed up on the shores of New York, Long Island, New Jersey, all up the coast. Wherever there were whales and they died, the currents, if scavengers didn't eat them, they ended up on our shore. So much so that when I lived in the beautiful, picturesque town of Merrick, Long Island, we had a road, very popular road, that was called Whale's Neck Drive, because back in the olden days, a whale had washed up and the only thing left of him was its neck. Now, they could have called that Bloated Corpse Road or something, but they didn't. But that was way before we had laws environmentally and windmills, electric windmills. Whales died. Then New York State said, we're going to put in these green generators. They'll work off green algae and generate electric, and we can put these all around the state and put it into our grid system, and it's free energy. We're going to spend money on this. We're going to buy these. The problem is they never existed. They never existed to be sold or bought by the state. And that money just went bye-bye. Same thing with solar. Bye-bye. So costly wind power that never amounted to anything. And this is the cry of, climate, 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 climate. We're all doomed. We've had ice ages. We had all these things long before man was around or caused any type of problem. And, you have people, the science. You must believe the science. You're a science denier. Oh, okay. All right. I'll believe the science. And I'll believe your science as soon as you can tell me what a woman is. Define a woman. I'm waiting. Yeah. Just what I thought. Comment, like, subscribe. Comment on it. I know Bob in New York will. And my answer while I'm talking to him, Bob, I'm pouring my used motor oil into a stream where I think manatees live. It's a river, and there's manatees living there. Not anymore. Love to talk to you, Bob, in New York, but I got to burn some old tires. All right, I'm only kidding. Bob in New York is a very, very caring person, even though he leaves me horrible, horrible comments. And I laugh. So I'm done with that. Of course, the lies of climate control. And I will touch upon Iran. The president said time is running out for them. The clock is ticking. And Iran supposedly has made some fundamental shifts. It's just that you can't believe them. And seeing is believing. And I think, them saying, well, we're going to put a toll on anyone leaving the straits and stuff. No, you can't do that. That's... You can't do that. It's a open waterway, and you're not doing that. You could say anyone leaving your ports and stuff must pay, or if we're shipping oil out through our ports, absolutely you could charge. That's your land. You can do that. But you can't say a ship leaving the United Arab Emirates, UAE, Emirates, must pay you a toll because we're sailing in international waters. No, that's called piracy. You can't do that. So that's what they're saying they have to do, and or they no. It's not one or the other. You follow international law. That's rule number one. And get ready. You give your nuclear material to a third party. You give it to us. We'll take it. We'll even pay you for it. You can't make any more. Not the way you were doing it. We want to sit down with you side by side and make it with you. We can discuss that. But as of right now, no. And really, that's all it needs to do. That's all Iran needs to do. Now, if they have agreed to something like this, and then 2 days from now, steps out of line, bang, something's gone. Something's gone, fellas. I need to get your attention. Come back. And that's how I'm going to get your attention. So, you had China, who wants to play a major role here and could play a major role. Pakistan, too, playing a major role because they're the only ones that are really friendly with Iran in the region. That, everyone else, they never wanted on Iran. They never wanted them. Let me see. The idea that Iran can be trusted now, I don't even know who we're dealing with. And I think everyone's afraid to pop their heads up. So there has to be some understanding, by the United States and Israel that you got to let these people get in charge so we know who to deal with. Because I can make a deal with this guy and they eliminate that guy and there is no deal. So it gets very tricky. And, that's why Trump wanted unconditional. Unconditional. And, Yeah, I'd love for that to happen. It wasn't going to happen. Those days are over. Very, very rare. But I think, and I thought that this weekend, if there was no progress made, man, it would have happened. But obviously, there is something going on behind the scene that Trump is saying, I'll wait and see. As unreasonable as you say Trump is, no, he's very reasonable when you get on board. Where he goes and can't come back from is when you lie to him or are disloyal to him. There's no coming back. None. So, and everyone should know this about him by now. Everyone, this should not be something new. Mr. President, I will get back to you. You do this every time I do my show. And no, that's not Bob's lie meter going off. Bob says every time that goes off, I lie. And I laughed. I said, it was actually pretty clever for him. I don't turn it off because I do expect important texts and calls. Because tonight is Tuesday and it is cards night. And yesterday was Monday, which was Socrates Station night. So those are very important days and nights, and I have to keep my phone active. All right, everyone. I spent 46 minutes. I can't do shorter than that, except in the bedroom. All right. Everyone, be safe. Please give to a charity of your choice. Be careful. Don't become a victim trying to help victims. Give to a local food bank. Of course, they need food. Got to be good food, meaning, not expired. Dry foods are the best. Canned food is the best. Monetary donation, where they can use that to effectively help someone right on the spot. Say a prayer. Prayer does work no matter what a Democrat might tell you. And again, please comment, like, subscribe. It helps. And I appreciate everyone who has done that. YouTube does not allow me to pick out emails and send individual thank you emails. So I'm going to be doing a little short on that right after this is done. Everyone, be safe. I'll get to you later. If there's anything really major going on, I will be on tonight after 9:30 p.m. But it will be live, recorded, and then put out as episode number 76, because this was episode 75. My handwritten notes, because I didn't feel like typing today. All right, everyone, be well, be safe, as I fade to